Welcome back to the next episode of Hermitcraft. If you watched the previous episode, you would know that we're about to embark on a very, very big project. Don't worry, this isn't going to be the entire episode because I'm sure watching building a villager farm is just as fun as making them, which is not really at all. So I've spent quite a lot of time between the two episodes creating or starting to lay out what we're going to do. I keep making accidental iron farms, but we're getting to the point now where we're ready to start moving some villagers around and get things set up. Before we get into any kind of time lapse on this thing, I want to kind of oh man, they're like weeping angels. Did you see that? He was not there 1 second ago. I turned around and boom. Uh-oh. I didn't think this through. Didn't think this through. No! So instead of going over the whole thing in detail, what we're going to do is maybe just talk a little bit about how this works, and then we'll go into the whole time-lapse thing. So there's already loads of trading halls on the server as it stands. We're making a trading hall not for books like most people's, but we're doing this mainly for the resources. So what we're going to set up today is basically going to be a big source of income in terms of blocks for us. Now what I'm doing here, just to kind of explain, this magma block will be in front of the villager, and the villager will be surrounded on all three sides like this. And what this basically does is stops them trying to look around or run or anything else. So their workbench will be here, and then this is a great technique, and I've had this confirmed by the more tech-savvy guys on the server. This basically reduces the impact of villager AI on the server. So when you're playing with a bunch of people like we do, we've kind of got to be considerate. So this little technique here is really handy, and I believe it also helps with the villagers restocking faster. So basically what we do is we're going to get a bunch of our villagers all lined up. We're going to get a zombie to come and turn them into zombie villagers and then cure them, and they're going to give us some fantastic deals. But for the stone cutters, we don't have to go through that process, which is great. And we want quite a lot of these. Okay, does that make sense? I think it's pretty straightforward. It's just a very long process. Okay, time to get these villagers into place and get this thing torn down in a good old time-lapse style. Maybe Sky will help me as too. I don't know. See if you can spot him. Let's go. Have finished, and I mean we. Scar and I kind of did a tag team on this thing. Sometimes I was working on it, sometimes he was working on it, so that's why my time lapse is kind of like half of the story, and then some bits, of course, we worked together on this. So we've got quite a lot of villagers here in a lot of useful stuff, and this chest down the end shows all the items that we can trade which are useful, and in huge quantities. This is pretty amazing, especially all of the terracotta. So we do have a bunch of book guys, and there's some pretty important books there, but the main reason that we have these is for mass amounts of glass. We've of course got our infinite emerald trading, which I showed last season, but if you didn't know, you can basically trade glass with librarians, craft it into glass panes, and then trade it with cartographers as long as they are cured enough. 1 glass pane for 1 emerald, and then you have an infinite emerald trade. This project's getting pretty technical, but it is a big and very exciting project. And it's quite important that I set this up because it includes an awful lot of blocks that I'm going to need for my build, which is the whole reason for setting this up in the first place. My main build is going to need a huge amount of terracotta, quartz, and in the long run, I think it's going to be quicker to just trade this stuff instead of mining it. You're probably wondering, well, what's Tango been doing? Tango's been doing the heavy lifting way up in the sky. He has made a raid farm, but we've learned some lessons. I mean, this is really quite a technical episode. But essentially, we learned that raid farms really should be built over in the ocean and not here. Basically, we messed up big time. If we go all the way up here, wow, this is a really long way. Basically, raids like to spawn on land, and oceans negate that. Wow, we are a really long way up. What we have to do, not in today's episode, I think today has been more than enough of making this big project. Basically, what we need to do is flatten the land around our villager trading hall, and create a fake ocean, surround it in water. So you can see I've been steadily flattening and building land out from the center, and that will be all covered in water, and that will create a fake ocean. So this is going to be even bigger of a project than we initially imagined. How do I get down from here? Oh, Tango has wings, and I don't have wings. Yeah, I don't have... Oh, do you reckon I can make that? I can make that jump. That's a lot further than it looks, but I think I can make that jump. Or I could try and do that. That block there has water in. I could try and get... No. We can do this. Right, we just gotta run and jump. Okay, so... Come on, we can do it. No! That trimmed my toenails, that did. So as you can see, I've been slowly flattening the land around here, but I tell you what... I've had quite enough of this project for now. It's had some brilliant progress made on it, but we can't spend the entire episode here. We've definitely got to pace this one. Over here, what I was thinking is, what if we had, because this is a lot of items and trading can be pretty messy. So what if we excavated the land underneath the trading hall and we created an item sorter, a proper item sorter underneath here? And then you do the route, so you trade all the way around, you get to the barrel, you put stuff in the barrel, and down it goes into the sorting system. It's just going to make this project even cooler and more complicated, and I'm so far out of my my wheelhouse here. I normally do a villager setup, but partnering with Tango on this, and Scar, we're going to turn this into quite an amazing place. While I've been doing this, I've also been smelting up a whole bunch of copper. So now, let's head back to our real base, because I've had enough of this. Look at that. Well, you know I haven't been around spawn area very much when my entire copper wall has aged that much. That is excellent news, because that means we are in a position to wax that and replace it with my brand new set of copper. Having all the different kind of aged copper is super important because I'm going to need it. Now, Mumbo is taking a month off YouTube, so we're not going to see him on the server for a little while. We fully support Mumbo taking a break. It's really, really important. It's not all sunshine and roses here on YouTube. It can take its toll, and break is sometimes completely necessary. But does that stop us messing with him just because he's not here? No. No, of course it doesn't. Of course it doesn't. We wish Mumbo the very best of breaks, and I hope that he can go and do some very, very fun stuff. But what I was thinking is, over the time that he's gone, we could kind of, like, make this vault super overgrown. Alright, let's get this thing waxed and taken down, so we could start the next bit of copper aging. There we go, Mumbo's house is free. And what have we got out of this? Quite a lot of different kind of exposed oxidized copper. And now we gotta go and do it all over again with this lot. So I think there might be significantly more copper in this run than the last one. So, I think this is safe to say that we're going to keep Mumbo's base very safe while he's on hiatus. And done. That is, I would describe this as excessive. This is an excessive amount of copper, but it's exactly what we need. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness, there's going to be a copper cube on the server for quite some time. But unfortunately, this is exactly what we're going to need if we're going to be selling copper, which is what we plan on doing, hence all of the different kinds of aging. So what I need to do now is find a way of putting copper into the entity and incorporating it in a way that's maybe not quite as on the nose as the tree. So when I look at copper, I think of steampunk, and I think of gears and cogs and that kind of thing. So what I want to build is a cog, or a big wheel that goes right into the entity like this, made out of various different kinds of exposed or oxidized copper, and then that way it shows that we sell all the different kinds. Now, because I've also used copper in my build here, I kind of wanted to tell a little bit of a story by doing this. So when I built this starter house, I kind of had it go extend into the terrain itself. And we've got a river right here. So what I was thinking is I could have it so that the entity has kind of stolen the water wheel from my house. Now, how I'm going to do this is going to be quite tricky. This is the wood that kind of extends from the house out into the water. Only a small portion of the wheel is going to be exposed on the entity. So what I'm thinking of doing is building that and then mirroring what's left, just, you know, a tiny corner of it, into the water here. And then it's like the entity has mysteriously taken the water wheel from my house, somehow, magically, and it's just appeared there. So, let's hop into a time-lapse of trying to make this vague vision in my head actually work in reality. So, you ready? Let's go! And there we have it, our 3/4 of a copper wheel, and here we have our last quarter of a copper wheel. So, this has actually worked out pretty well. I managed to sort of cut the thing here so that it does look like it's broken, and then over here I have actually managed to make it, I'd say pretty convincingly line up with the proportions of the cog, or the wheel. Yeah, it looks like there's more cog than there should be, but I guarantee you that makes up 100%. It definitely looks like I've just not finished a build here, but I don't do that, right? I don't do that. I have finished the build. The build is finished. Look, there's the rest of the wheel. I even added lodestones. I spent my 2 netherite ingots that I had, not on any of my tools like a sensible boy. I used lodestones to do some building, like a silly boy. So this justifies the copper selling to take place inside the entity. And I tell you, it's not going to be cheap. Copper is expensive, it's tedious, and it's got to age and all sorts. And it includes the wax on it as well. I've still got to get lots of normal copper and oxidized copper, but I've definitely got enough of the exposed stuff to at least do a light stocking. So this also gives you a pretty good idea of where the entity is heading. Imagine more of this kind of thing, all these different kinds of elements attached to the rock in some way. I don't know where this is going to go or how it's going to work, but just from this small segment, I think the entity could end up being really cool. So my inventory is full of like bee stuff at the moment, greenery, because I need to move, or I have already started, moving my bees from over there, and I thought what I could do is actually put them up here in their own little space in a tower. So I've got like this really lovely green area for my bee sanctuary of some kind, and all I've got to do is put the beehives back together and set this up again. Maybe I can make it look more like a bee box if I put it made out of trapdoors instead of really bulky glass. Hopefully this works. Kind of scared that this isn't gonna work. No! Oh, so close. A bee definitely got out. More than one bee definitely got out. Where did he go? Yep. That seems about right. Alright, well, now you're stuck in here. All I gotta do, come on. Is it nearly night time? I believe. I believe. Believe you can get back in the bee box. I'm thinking that maybe they get stuck in here. I'm not sure. I think they've gone back in. Okay, this has worked out well. So one of them can get glass bottles while the other can do shears. This has worked out really well. I just need to confirm that this actually is going to work. No! I've just lost my bees. I can still hear them in there. Did they all sting me? Oh no. Pro tip, if you're dealing with bees, put everything in last. Hopefully hopefully I only lost 2 bees. But here's the collection system going in. And then hopefully that should collect everything from here. Alright. Now I've got to try and put these bees back without them escaping, as they really want to seem to do. Okay, yeah, we got 2 bees in there still, so that's fine. They should take care of themselves, and hopefully this will then start producing all of my honeycomb needs. Not only honeycomb, but also... This actually looks like a pretty good bee box, if you ask me. So I should get a decent amount of honey blocks and honeycomb, and I think this room could use a little more sprucing up. Now, this is a dangerous thing to do. There we go. I think this looks pretty cute in here. It's like a little relaxation room for the bees, and then hopefully they'll start producing things when they've forgiven me for my shearing of their honeycomb. And I hope to come back and this will all be full. So that was kind of part 1 of one of the jobs I needed to do. Part 2 is trying to improve the space out here. Look, there's still torches. I'm guilty of this very badly. And one of the things you can do quite easily when you want to improve the outside is some texturing of the floor. So Scar's gone for a mixture of moss and grass and even leaves. I'm going to do something slightly different, and I'm going to include like a bit of dirt and brown concrete powder so that it looks like some of this is actually dyed next to the wall because it's not got enough sunlight, especially outside the front of the door where you might see more foot traffic. It's based a lot on just logic and what you might see in real life as well. Again, if you can mimic what it is in real life, it will be even more pleasing to the eye than you can possibly imagine because it feels familiar. So for someone watching it, I know a lot of what we build is fantasy and defies physics, but just a little bit of texturing of dirt around here that looks fairly reasonably realistic, it helps just to make us feel settled. A lot of you know this trick already, but moss block on top of azalea bushes, you get a lovely decorative shrub there. And then there's all sorts of things we can do. Azalea leaves, as Scar has shown us, make one of the best decorative leaf blocks because they remain green regardless of what biome you're in. Now, the lazy thing to do would be to just bone meal this place and leave long grass. But actually, if you take the time, and it really doesn't take a lot of time, if you grab grass and try and use it a bit sparingly and maybe double grass up next to some smaller grass, used sparingly, it can really highlight areas without going too overboard. And if maybe you want just like one overgrown patch that maybe hasn't been cared for like it should. You see how that stands out and is offset by the height of the building? Using grass without spamming it everywhere can work really well. The next thing I want to do is utilize some colors a bit better. Very similarly to the brown that we've used there, what we're going to do is use green concrete powder, lime terracotta, and moss block. They're all different shades of green. Now, if we use these in a very light way, without going too overboard again, we can make a patch of grass that just is a slightly different colour, and this texturing alone should be enough to make this little area stand out, again, without taking too much away from our build. And I'm just randomly placing it. And then I'm going to take a look. That looks like a pretty nice, patchy spot of moss, but it's not very well balanced at the moment. So I'm just going to extend this out, add a bit more, take a bit away, etc. There we go. I think that looks pretty good. So we've done some, like, vegetation decoration, and it doesn't take long, but it helps finish off the build. I actually do think there's a big there's a big space here that's lacking something, and I think it's lacking a tree, but it also kind of ruins the view that I have of the valley and the other builds that have been made here, so maybe something just small and unintrusive could go there. I'll be honest, I don't actually know how this got in my shoulder. I don't think I've been attacked by anything. Where did this come from? Okay, so it's been a pretty heavy episode into progress and farms and things like that, and I want to leave a little bit of space. Is B-dubs' thing in half, or is it just not loaded? Oh, there it is. I wanted to leave a little bit of space for shenanigans. If you're watching this in the future, this is irrelevant to you, but if you're watching it in the now, then you'll know that April Fool's is just around the corner. Now, I don't actually particularly, personally, like April Fool's that much. I think I usually just avoid the internet on April Fool's Day because everyone just gets tricked, including YouTubers who like to trick people into clicking their videos. And I'm not really about that. For me, every day is April Fool's Day, but it is April Fool's Day coming up, so I thought instead of like a secret Santa at Christmas time, we could do a secret Fool's Day. So you don't get tricked by us, we're tricking each other for April Fool's Day, if that makes sense. So I've got myself together some blocks here, and we're going to make a little hat and a place for people to put in their names, and we can draw our secret April Fools. So let's say that I'm playing along, I put my names in, and so have a bunch of other people. I press the button, it pops out Tango. Tango is my target for April Fools, and then it's up to me what I want to do to prank him, or whoever it is that we draw. It's basically going to be a free-for-all on the old pranks. I'm going to whip something up really quickly to put in the middle here. Those of you that have been on the channel for a while might recognize this design. A bit of a throwback. This arrow is still in my shoulder. Bit of a throwback here to Season 6 and the Jangler. There's a lovely Jester's hat here. Okay, so this is it. The Secret Fools sign up. Here's all the information that I've kind of already told you. The only thing is that you've got a few days to sign up and then a few days to hit the button, find out who you're pranking, get it done by April 1st. Okay, so the only other thing to know is that if you sign up, you accept any, I mean any prank. I don't want any of the hermits to be held back whatsoever, so if you sign up to this, there's a chance that everything explodes. I'm not saying it will, but I'm just saying there's no rules here, okay? Just go nuts, keep it a secret, have some fun. April Fools, everybody. If you sign up, you know what you're signing up for. Which leaves us to be the very first to sign up. And then into the chest it goes. And we are ready to be dispensed in a few days' time, where this thing should be open and ready. I do hope we get enough people to sign up. This could be pretty awkward if there's like 2 people. It'll be a very direct April Fool's Day, won't it? Have you guys got any ideas for pranks that we can do to the hermits? If you've got any ideas, I'd be very, very happy to read some in the comments, because there's a lot of options out there. A lot of options. Something fun. Something very fun. Okay, so that is it for today's episode. It took me a little while to make this one because literally the villager thing took like 3 whole days to make. And we've made loads of progress. We've done some tidying up. We've done our little bee sanctuary up there. It is producing some honeycomb, which is great, and we've, of course, set up Secret Fools and added We've done a lot this episode. So, I shall see you in the next episode, where hopefully we'll have some sign-ups, and we will find out who is our Secret Fools. So, thank you very much for watching. I shall see you in the next episode. Maybe this arrow will leave me at some point. Who knows? Goodbye.